Welcome to the Ambitious Coach Podcast. This is a place where driven, determined coaches learn how to get off the business growth struggle bus and learn how to build a wildly profitable online coaching business. I'm your host, Allison Henderson, corporate dropout to six-figure social media business coach. I'm going to show you how I've been able to create the business of my dreams organically, all through utilizing my social media platforms. So pull up a seat, take some notes, and get ready to see your life and bank account transform. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have somebody that I've been wanting on my podcast for months, and you guys probably all know her because she pops up on my feed every day, and she's been helping sleep consultants for years now with all things in their business. I have Rianna Hijlkema. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
All right. So Rianna is a business strategist. So I'd love for you to talk about your story. You are also a nomad who's doing all kinds of cool stuff. If you guys follow her, she's been all over the world. So please share with everyone, like, who are you and what are you all about?
We said we came to the title business strategist, but actually I do a lot. What my role really is helping sleep consultants start, launch, and scale their business. That's the most important thing for me. Helping them save time and attract more clients, because that's what we all need and want, right? Mm-hmm. But if you want to, because this was never the plan to step into this. I never consciously said, okay, let's do this. The story is actually very funny. Like, everything went differently than I expected. And it started all in 2011. Back in 2011, I was teaching full time. I had a great class that year. I had a boyfriend. We had a house. We had a cute little kitten. I had everything, but I don't know what happened. But one Sunday morning I woke up and I remember asking my then boyfriend, "Are you happy?" And he was like, yeah, I'm happy. And I was like, okay, but on a scale from 1 to 10, how happy are you? And he was like, well, a 7. And something that moment clicked, because I had such a strong feeling that moment that I was like, I don't want to live a life of a 7. I want more. And I had the same feeling as him. I was happy, but living the life of a 7. So then it went very, very fast. Like, within 4 weeks, we broke up, we sold the house. My boss called me that my job didn't get extended for the next school year because of budget problems. And so within 4 weeks, I had no house, no job. I had no boyfriend. My cat stayed with him. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? Mm-hmm. And it was really funny because instead of feeling very sad, like, I remember my friends and my family, oh, are you okay? Do you feel, do we need to cheer you up? And I was like, no, actually, this is my chance. This is the best thing that could ever happen. I knew it so quickly. And I went on Facebook that day. I saw an advertisement popping up for being an au pair in Paris. And I was like, yeah, why not? And it was 3 months. It would be for the summer holidays. And I thought, then in the next school year, I can find a new job in the Netherlands. That was the plan. My mom would have been happy if that turned out like that, but it didn't. So 4 weeks later, after we had that conversation, pack my bag. I had a goodbye party the evening before. And I remember one of my friends saying, like, you tell everybody you go for 3 months to Paris, but what if it doesn't work? What if you're not happy? What if it doesn't work out? And I was like, well, then I come back. And, all these little things in that short time that started clicking in me, like, wow, I've been living life for others. I've been trying to please others at cost of myself, and not at cost of, like, I'm living at 3 and I'm so sad. No. My life is still okay, but I felt like I wanted more. Packed my bag, drove to Paris the next day, and the family was amazing. Those 3 months flew by. They extended it with a year. So in the end, I was 1 year in Paris. I got a teaching job offered in an international school there. I took that so I could combine that with my au pair job because I love teaching. That was, I always wanted to do that. And then after a year, the family moved to Congo and they asked me if I wanted to join. And I was like, no, I'm up for a new adventure. So I applied for some jobs, got a job in China, worked there as a teacher. And so for 5 years, I was traveling solo. I was doing whatever I wanted. And I was so, so happy. I remember that first day when I arrived in Paris, that was a promise that I made to myself. I stood on a bridge there. I looked over this beautiful city. I've never been outside of the Netherlands by that time. And so Paris, new language, new everything was different. And I remember standing there on the bridge and telling myself, from now on, I only do things that make me happy. And that's been the promise that I've been living up to for the last, 14 years by now. This was in 2011. So, and yeah, that's what I've been doing. So those 5 years solo were amazing, solo traveling and working in different places, different schools, different countries. And then one day in Indonesia, on a tiny island, I came across my future husband. And it's really funny because those 5 years, I was like, I don't need a man anymore. I can do whatever I want. Why would I commit in a relationship? No, if I'm going to go in a relationship, it needs to be a male version of me, because I was so in love with my life and the choices I was making. And then I found him, the male version of me, like growth, ambition, learning, a lot of resilience, bold moves. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. So we did a long distance relationship. He was still in Belgium. He was from Belgium, still living there, working in the army. And I was living in Madrid at that time. We did a long distance relationship. And then 1.5 years later, I moved to Costa Rica, and he said, screw it, quit my job, I'll follow you. So that's how we ended up in Costa Rica together. And we lived there for 6 months. And then we kept traveling, and that's what we've been doing for the last, almost 8-9 years together.
Wow.
Yeah, so really, really awesome. Yeah.
I'm so envious. So amazing. I love all this. So tell me though, like, how did the whole sleep consultant world come into your life? Because I'm hearing a lot of, I was a teacher, I was a nomad, I got married, and then how did that progress into okay, I'm now going to start an online business? And I don't know, I guess from the moment that you, got to Costa Rica, did you start with the graphic design? I know that was a big thing for you, is making websites. So I guess what's the progression there?
No, so the thing is, I always wanted to be a mom. And I had 3 younger brothers. My mom was taking care of 4 other children. I was the oldest of those 8 kids that were in our house. And
8 kids, oh my God.
I know, where others were walking, my friends were walking with their dolls. I was walking with real babies from a very young age, and I loved it. And that's also why I choose to become a teacher, because that was the closest in my beliefs to come to work with children, but also to understand and the development and all of it. And so when me and my husband started traveling together, very quickly the conversation came up, hey, shall we start our own family? And so the moment we were okay, we feel mentally, physically, financially completely ready, I started reading every book that you could find about parenting. I studied all courses about conscious parenting, and I really wanted to be the best mom. And one of the things that I came across, or 2 of the things that I came across, was the postpartum period is very hard. So the first couple of weeks after giving birth, and sleep is an issue in the first years. So I was like, okay, I need to get more knowledge on this. So this is how I became a postpartum doula. I got certified. I became a certified sleep consultant. So it all started for my own benefit in the way of I want to give my kids, or our kids, the best of the best, whatever I can. I have now the time to learn and to get all this knowledge. And in the meantime, I was still teaching. So I had my postpartum clients. I had, that was on location, and the sleep consultant clients, that was virtually. So that was very easy for me to combine next to my teaching job. And in the meantime, while I was helping the families and while I was teaching, our journey of starting a family wasn't that easy. We had infertility issues. We went through IVF for years, a lot of losses. And in the end, it didn't work out the way we had hoped. And after 6 very, very hard years, we ended up childless, not by choice. And so that was the moment that we had to reinvent I had to reinvent my whole life and my purpose and my meaning. And I was still helping all these families. And I always sat there with those newborns in my arms thinking like, oh, one day it's going to be ours that I'm sitting here with. And yeah, so that didn't turn out. And what I was doing in those years during the IVF was also helping. So what happened, I had my postpartum doula business, my sleep consulting business, my teaching. And there were a lot of sleep consultants and postpartum doulas from the courses who reached out to me and they were like, hey, who made your website? Who set up your business? Who did this? Who did that? And so I've helped a lot of them in the meantime. And when our story came to an end back in 2021, that was the moment that I was like, okay, I need to put this like very confrontational part aside. And I went full in. I quit my teaching job. I went full in the sleep consulting design, in the website, the branding, the marketing, like everything that you can think of, systems. And I've been enjoying it like crazy a lot. And here we are.
I love it.
Yeah.
I have heard so many great things about you, and people in the sleep consulting community, I just know, love you dearly. So I'm just so happy that you made it here and you're helping people make money online. And I know that that's a big reason why I wanted you on today too, is to talk about your new book. So would you like to just share a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So in the last couple of years, I've been working with sleep consultants, and every time what came up was this like, how can I say it? Illusion. Like we get certified and then we have a certification in our hand and we're like, okay, where are the clients? Why is my inbox not full?
Yeah, there's such a disconnect or the gap, like you said, between I got certified to like, how do I actually make money? And do I have to actually I have to be a business owner? Like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. So this is what I kept seeing over and over again. And I worked with a lot of one-on-one clients, but I also set up a lot of, I create a lot of free content, like try to be there for everybody to support them. And certain things kept coming up. And so I started writing it out, and it became a collection of 3 years of like, okay, read this, do this. And I was like, whoa, I have a system here, actually, what I have in my hands that I've been doing myself with one-on-one clients. But how cool would it be if I can hand this over to somebody who's just getting certified or who is still in the certification process and like, okay, I want to be mentally ready. What are the first steps I need to do? Because the first steps that you need to do, you can do this while you're getting certified. How cool is it when you're certified, you have your business up and you can go out there? And so I kept thinking about this. And then at one moment I looked at all my stuff and I was like, this is a book. This is a book that's going to help. And so I put everything together in a very clear step-by-step system. It's super actionable because that's what I want. Simplicity is super important to me. But again, foundational elements first. And this is what I see a lot and it's really cool now because sleep consultants, every day I get messages from sleep consultants and then they come with a question like, oh, wait, you're in this part of the book, but oh, you need to go back. So everything is so clear. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that it's going to come out. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah. When is it? Just so everybody knows on the podcast, like when is your book going to be available?
April 15th, it's going to be available on Amazon.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right, everybody, mark your calendars, April 15th.
Oh, yeah.
So exciting. And I know one of the biggest things for you is like having an aligned business. So I'd love for you to explain that a little bit more for the person who maybe is listening and is like, what does that even really mean? Do I even know if I have an aligned business or not?
Yeah, it's literally the first chapter in my book. This is how important it is to me. And I think it all comes back to my own personal experience when I chose that day in Paris saying like, I only do what makes me happy. This was like the start of a long journey for me personally to figure out what does make me happy. I don't know. It's so easy to live according to other people's rules, according to other people's expectations. And I really had to learn to figure out, I always got labeled as an extrovert. And in those 5 years, I figured out I'm actually not an extrovert. I'm an introvert. And I love spending time by myself. I love creating things, staying in the flow. And where other people really need that connection, I don't need it as much. And so I really, in those years, especially when I traveled solo, that was really the time for me to figure out like, okay, I like groups, but until a certain time limit. I like one-on-one conversations and I want to go deep. I don't like the chit chat. And so this is how I started figuring out, oh, now I'm drained. Wait, okay, trigger, reminder, because it's so easy to stay focused on those big things that sometimes we don't pick up the small cues that tell us like, oh, now I'm feeling off. I remember that because I wake up every day and I'm super excited to go back in my business, working on it, in it, whatever it is. And I know the days that I wake up and I dread the day a little bit or the morning. I'm like, oh, wait, check. There's something off. Something is not aligned. So what I mean with an aligned business is really something that makes you excited, makes you want to be busy with it, but also something that feels good, that resonates with you. And what I see happening a lot, for example, on Instagram, I get a lot of messages on Instagram like, yeah, I have such a hard time to post. And then we start having a conversation. And then very quickly we figure out, oh, wait a minute, maybe Instagram is not the platform where you need to be. And just realizing that there are other ways to market yourself. And again, this comes back to alignment. And we're not even talking only about not being on Instagram. Maybe what you do on Instagram is not aligned. Exactly. And there's another way to use it. And so trying to figure it out. And that's what I said. The first chapter in my book is about this alignment. Is creating an aligned framework. So you have something instead of a business plan that you leave somewhere in the dust and never look at with all those beautiful numbers and everything. Having an aligned framework is every time to come back to like, oh, wait, no, I should not make this choice because this is not aligned with what I stand for. And for the alignment, it's really about your values, the impact you want to make on other people, but the growth you want to make yourself, but also your non-negotiables. That is something, sometimes it's easier to know what you not want than what you do want. And so knowing what you absolutely not want and what the limits are gives you a lot of clarity on things that you do and not do. Like, for example, calls are really draining my energy and not just I love them, but I'm exhausted afterwards. And then the hours after, I'm not producing on the level that I normally do. So once I figured that out, I started slowly reducing that. And now I'm just having one call a week and that's it. So this is our call of the week. But
I'm so glad I made the cut.
You did. But I mean, all these kind of things, this is all. And what is your why? It's all about you. A lot of times when we think about our business, we think about others, but we need to first think about us. Like why is this business existing for you? What do you want to get out of this? How is this going to help you grow? Because in the end, the business is a reflection of you, right? And a lot of times we're so focused on the business, but the business cannot grow as much as you growing. So this is why I feel so blessed that I had all these years to first figure out like what makes me happy, what do I want to do, what do I want to be busy with, how do I want to create my life, and then my business came on top of that, and now it's like a beautiful process together. So, yeah, alignment is everything.
So I had my daughter's 11 now. So like, it was probably like right after I had her many years ago, I went and saw, she was actually like a psychic medium sort of lady. And I felt at that point, I was so lost. I was like, I'm a new mom. I was probably having some postpartum blues or whatever, but like, I did not want to go back to my job. I was very much just like, what are my other options? Like, I'm so unhappy right now. And like, I want to be there for my kid, but I was kind of like you where I traveled a ton when I was in college, even after college. Like my husband and I used to go backpacking and like, we had like such a cool life. I felt like, and then like I had a kid and I was like, now in this like corporate 9-to-5 job where I was like, this is not what I wanted for myself. Like I had experienced all of this excitement and just, I felt like I had such an exciting life before I had kids. And then I had this kid and I had this job and I was like, now what? And so the first question she asked me when I sat there, she goes, what brings you joy? And I immediately like started sobbing because at that point I didn't really know. I was like, I just know I don't want this. Like obviously I can't do anything about having a kid, obviously, but like, what do I do? Like, I feel so trapped And so she really helped me like see that there was so much more to life than this whole 9 to 5, like, do what everybody else has been doing, like go to college, you get married, you have kids, you just stay in this job until you're 65. And that's life. And so I love that you have such a, I guess what we would call it like an alternative lifestyle. But for us, it's like, this is normal. Like, this is just like now I can't imagine, and I'm not saying I would never go back to a 9 to 5 job, but like I really can't see that for my future of like having to not having that flexibility realistically to do what I want when I want. My husband's the same way. He's also an entrepreneur, and like, we really get to make our own schedules and we get to be there for our kids. And it's just such a different, I guess, lifestyle from like the normal, in air quotes, normal, what everybody else is doing. So, okay. So my actual question for you though, like, what if someone right now is sitting there going, I just feel so lost and trapped in my life. And like, I don't really know what brings me joy. I don't know what I even like or dislike. Like, so what would you suggest to them? Like if you really could give them like maybe like some action steps to really figuring that out for themselves.
Oh yeah, this is something that I've been struggling with a lot, because what I did when I was going through this, like, identity crisis, we can call it like this.
Definitely an identity crisis.
Becoming a mother, but for me it was giving up motherhood or becoming a business owner. There's so many identity things that we are going through, and then we completely lost. And exactly what you said, what gave you joy and happiness, and that worked there, but that doesn't do it now anymore. And so what I've always been doing, and I know now this is not the way to go. I started reading books, started learning, reading blogs, figuring out what the problem is. Well, the only person who's really going to know, and it comes back to alignment, what is best for you, where you want to go, is you. And if you don't see it right now, it's because we get all this clutter and all this information at us, like, you should make 6 figures, you should travel the world, you should be this type of parent. And if we really are able to sit with ourselves and let that go and start journaling and start writing down whatever comes up, and that's been for me very helpful to get back to me in my own little world. And then being brave enough, because that's the other side of the story, to take action on that. Because a lot of people walk around with dreams and desires and they never take action on it. And for some people, that is how they live their lives, and this is fine. And for other people, they feel this feeling of, I don't want to say regret, but like something is missing, like what I had. Like, I live a 7. I should not complain. I have everything a lot of people were dreaming and wishing for. But it was not enough for me. And when you know it's not enough for you, then taking action, that is actually the hardest part.
Yeah. I always came back to like, what is my purpose? Like, that was something that was really hard for me when I started. Like, I was so like, I had to find my purpose. So I did. I read all the books, and I was just, but I think the biggest thing, and this came from hiring that woman many years ago. She's just like, you have to follow what brings you joy, even if you don't really know what that is right now. Like, follow the next thing that does feel good to you. So maybe it is reading a book or watching a movie, or sitting with your spouse and just having a really deep, nice conversation, like whatever that is. And even with my own business now, like, I'm like, does this spark joy inside of me? Does this ignite something that is enjoyable inside my system? And if it doesn't, even like during a launch, I check in with that. I'm like, what about this? Why does this feel wonky right now? Why does this feel kind of weird? I'm like, always do what brings you joy. Always sell what actually is something that excites you. So I'd love your perspective on that.
But then also to keep in mind, because it sounds all very like, I chose happiness that day, and for the last 15 years, I've been only happy. No, that's not true. That's not true. But I choose my struggles. So, for example, I am not a great social media, like, that's not really my thing. But what is my thing is helping sleep consultants, supporting them in their business. Where are they? They're on Instagram. So this is the, how can I say it? Not a struggle, but this is word for me to be there, because I can actually do what I want. So it's sometimes there are little paths before you get what you want, but also these paths make sure that they are feeling aligned, right? Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to say, like, if you're really going now through this identity crisis, also understand that there's a part of grief from the old life, and there's unknown from the new life. It's like, I really like to see it like you one door closes and the other door is not open yet. Because a lot of people say when one door closes, another one opens. Well, that's not true. There's always that in the middle part, and you're in the hallway, you're looking at all the doors, you don't know which one is going to open, and it's messy. And finding people who are in the same situation at the time is very helpful. And give yourself the time, like you said. If it's now watching a movie, go watch a movie, because it doesn't, sometimes it just doesn't come, and you cannot think your way. You need to really
forcing it isn't actually the answer.
Oh my gosh. No.
I think, like you said, it's like, it takes time. It's not something that just happened overnight of just like, I'm choosing happiness. It's like, yeah, you can definitely choose that. But like, also know that you might have to grieve. Like, I felt like I grieved my past self when I ended up having a child. And I didn't realize that I was ever going to go through that of like, oh, I don't have that freedom really that I had before I had kids, or even I didn't really think that was going to be a thing. And so, obviously I have 2 kids now. So I have an 11 and a 5-year-old. I wouldn't change that for anything, but like I had to choose a different life. Like I can't necessarily, I'm not saying I can't be a nomad, because I probably could. I could figure that out if I wanted to. Yeah. But I also know like my family loves living here. And like my husband loves that he can just walk across the street at the golf course every day. And like that's something that brings him joy. So like I obviously now know that like, my happiness is important to me, but I also have these other people that I have to always consider, right? And I know a lot of people listening to this, probably our parents, or, or maybe having that grief of like, wow, I kind of miss my old self, of like just being able to watch a show when I want to watch a show, or like, I wish I could do that, but I hear mom like 100 times. Sometimes it's like, I can't, why can't I watch this? But I know even when I'm circling this back to my business, like I know a lot of women want to work on their business all the time, or like they want to expand it, but they just maybe don't have the time because they have all these other things going on. And but anyway, just kind of
no, but I feel really like this is 3 years of therapy in one sentence. That I didn't get that life. And of course, people are probably thinking like, oh, you can adopt, you can do this, you can do that. Yeah, but I really, for me personally, I feel like this was not given to me in natural way. Yeah. So there's probably another life open there for me. And so I do have the time. I have the energy. I have not the distraction. I have the long nights of sleep. And so this is why I feel so committed to help all these, because most of the sleep consultants that I'm supporting are moms, are they new moms, are they becoming moms, and knowing that they don't have that much time and energy, I am there who can help them close this gap between certification and having a running business so they can actually do what they got trained for. So, yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So I guess I would say last words of wisdom.
I think something that really helped me in my journey is understanding the emotional cycle of change. Have you heard about that?
Maybe, but in a different way. But I'd love to hear this. Yeah.
Yeah. So this journey is kind of a roller coaster we are on. And at first we start full of excitement and we see all the possibilities. And then at one moment we come to this point of like, oh yeah, I still see the possibilities, but I also now understand there is work that needs to be done. So that's the second phase. And then the third phase, I'm talking about this in my book as well, because I think it's so profound to understand this. The third phase is the moment you're in this low feeling of, well, is this really what I want to do? Is this going to work? Why I'm spending all my time on this? And my business doesn't work while my kids are there at the babysitter, and like all these conflicting feelings in that moment. And knowing that phase 3 is very hard, but if you have, and again, this is why the Align framework is so important, to understand your why, to understand why you're doing it, for the impact you want to make, but mostly for yourself, is if you can push through in this stage, you come to stage 4, and in stage 4, you're suddenly going to see like the clients are coming, there's flow coming in, and then you move on with that. What happens a lot of times in this stage 3, and this is what you're going to see, once you see it, you cannot unsee it, is people find it hard, they're struggling, a new certification program comes up, a new way of making money comes up, and they stop. they start all the way from phase 1 again. And they're like, oh no, but this is going to work. This is amazing. They finish the study. Oh, it's actually harder than I thought. And they come back in phase 3. So if you keep staying stuck in that loop from 1 to 3, you never get where you actually want to go. So once you know that, okay, it's hard. I know what I'm doing it for. Keep going, consistency. This is also why I always say, like, whatever strategy you choose, make sure that you can do it for at least 12 months. Yeah. If you cannot, it's the wrong strategy. And then keep going. And you will eventually get out of stage 3 and come to stage 4. And then you're going to be the person that everybody's looking up to. And you're like, it was not that easy. I worked freaking hard for it. And everybody thinks you're this overnight success. And yeah, so just knowing that, having that in the back of your head is going to help you to move through that roller coaster and come on the other side with your hands up. And yeah.
I love how you explain that. I have this thing, I just like, in my opinion, is like the emotional roller coaster of entrepreneurship. Of like, you're gonna have ups and downs. Like, it's just gonna happen. And like, but like having that why, or knowing like, why am I waking up every day, coming into my office and like doing the things that I know I need to be doing, but like, it's just, sometimes it can feel tough and it can be rough. And some days are better than others or whatever. But like, I love how you explain that. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I just loved having you on. Anything else that you want to share with everyone today?
Now something also what I see happening a lot, and I was struggling with it myself as well. I remember I was on a party with some friends, and we were living in Bulgaria at that time. And then somebody came to me and said like, hey, so what are you doing? And I said, I'm a teacher. And my husband grabbed my arm and he was like, you're not a teacher anymore. I was like, I had this big clunk in my throat, like, he's right, but just saying out loud, no, I'm a sleep consultant, I'm a postpartum doula. It just didn't feel comfortable as much as it did. Again, this was an identity shift that I needed to make. And just getting in conversations with people, daring to say what you're doing, who you are, it is so crucial to increase your visibility, to get out there. And this is really going to be helpful for your business, instead of thinking like, behind the back scene and posting on Instagram. I post every day. Yeah, but are you actually in conversations? Because this is going to help your business, especially in the first year, is so important. And stepping into that role, that identity of a business owner, and being proud of it. And this is the other part that I'm doing with the book as well. This first part, we're not talking about social media until chapter 9. I mean, that is for a reason. There is foundational stuff that needs to be done first. And when this is done, you're going to show up so much easier because you're proud of your business. And that's what I want. This is why we started, right? I want everybody to wake up excited. I want everybody to have this perfect balance, integrated life, whatever that looks like, with family, without family, with travel, without travel, with your business, and make those dreams happen. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing this. Like, I can't wait to dive into your book. This sounds so good. And I love that you start a lot with like the mindset work before you even like really get into the strategy, which I think is so important. So thank you. Yeah. All right. So remind everybody again, when's this book coming out, and where can they learn more from you?
Yeah. So April 15, Amazon. That's when my book is going to come out. I'm super excited for it. I have a special discount price for the first week. If you go to sleepconsultantbusiness.com, that's it, sleepconsultantbusiness.com, you can sign up and you get a special discount. And most of the time I'm on Instagram. At sleepconsultant.design. That was my email address. That's also fine.
You guys can email her too. Yes.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, I love talking to sleep consultants and helping them. So.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so just happy that we finally got to connect and meet. Like you've been popping up on my Instagram for years now, and I'm like, why aren't we best friends? Like, so I'm just so happy that I finally got to be in your energy and ask you all these questions. And I'm just so excited for your book. So congratulations. I'm excited. So thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Ambitious Coach podcast today. A couple favors before you go. If you found this episode helpful, please take a screenshot and share it on Instagram. Most importantly, don't forget to tag me at AllisonHenderson_coach. That's ALLISON Henderson_coach. And lastly, please take a minute to rate this episode and leave a raving review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Okay, ambition is great, but it's time to get to work. Take action and commit to being 1% better every day. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you again next week.